Hi, everyone. Here we are. So we're a little bit late starting on our live chat, but that's okay. So welcome to New Year, New View. And of course, I'm Bree Johnson. And I'm so excited to have our wonderful, esteemed Kat Bohm here to talk about mindfulness and not just meditation, but really how the mind works. So it's kind of exciting stuff. So here we are. And so those of you, hey, Instagram, hi, hey, Facebook. So this is the first time that I've actually ever done a simulcast thing where we're both on Instagram and both on Facebook. So my Instagram people, I have to figure out how to prop this phone up a little bit better. So welcome to everybody who's joining in. Kat Bohm here. So Kat might end up looking at this screen, but just because she's looking at this screen doesn't mean she's not looking at you, Instagram. So without further ado, hi everybody on Insta, hi everybody on Facebook. Again, so I'll do a quick little introduction to Kat. Kat Bohm is a really amazing, hi Jenny. Kat Bohm is an amazing teacher that we are all so lucky to have in our lives, and I'm happy to share her with you here on social media because she's not actually on social media. So this is her first appearance. This is how good of a mindfulness instructor she is, that she knows her mind so well that she knows the triggers of social media and trying to avoid it. So here she is on social media, going to share with us her beautiful wisdom. She's had many years sitting in silence, has done a number of silent 3-month retreats in Burma and with some of the most amazing teachers in the world. So yay. I'm going to ask a quick question before we get started. Everybody on Instagram, hi. We're doing a simulcast. For those who are just joining, we're also on Facebook, Instagram, trying it out. So can somebody give me on Instagram here a thumbs up if the volume is okay? Can you hear me okay? Because I think the computer we're okay, but this is on my phone. Somebody Insta do a little, come on.
This is so wild.
Isn't this wild? Okay, so we're gonna try. Yeah, okay, all good. Yeah, Steph and Matt, thank you. Okay, those are some thumbs up. You can hear all right. Can you hear all right still? I've just set the phone down. Okay, thank you for your thumbs up. All right, my friends, so I'm going to move this over. Volume is great. Thank you, Steph. Awesome. How good, Jenny, we have you on both. I love this. Okay, so here we go. Without further ado, Kat's going to talk about mindfulness in everyday life, and she's going to drop her wisdom bombs with us. And at the end of it, she'll answer some questions for us. But feel free, if you do have a question, write it. And I think on Instagram, I'm going to lose it faster than I would on Facebook. So if we don't get to your question, if you wrote it halfway, my Instagram people, then write it again. Anyways, this is fun. We're all trying this out live together. Okay, welcome to the fabulous world of Instagram. I know, isn't that okay? Sorry, we're laughing because we can see all a bunch. Oh, we saw an angry face. Anyways, we're having fun here. Now let's talk about the mind. Now that's over to beautiful Kat. Hooray!
All right, hi everybody, and thank you so much for joining in. And of course, a big shout out to Bree, a dear friend who has invited me to speak on, I guess, a passion of mine of meditation. And meditation in daily life, meditation in our world. This is a little nerve-wracking for me. As she has mentioned, I have chosen not to be on social media, and so I feel like I've just walked on the red carpet for the first time in my life, and now I have two, not one, but two screens at me. So we'll see how we go. And I'll just pretend I'm talking to dear friends, my dear community of like-minded friends. So I really do appreciate you joining us. I think most of you at some point in your life have practiced some meditation. Meditation, if it's been in a yoga class, or meditation maybe on retreats, or meditations right now via the world of our internet, through maybe podcasts or other guided meditations. It's thrilling to me to see how it's expanded. I started in 1997, and meditation and mindfulness wasn't really in the vernacular yet. And so I appreciate you just taking some time to maybe hear my views and what I feel is appropriate to share in this modern world that we're all navigating the best that we can. We were just talking at breakfast, Bree and I, we're all kind of making this up. We're just doing the best we can day to day. And so the title of this is New Year, New View. And the part of the reason why I chose that is because a big part of mindfulness is our view. It's our view of the world, our view of what we're seeing, or what we believe we're seeing, what we're perceiving. And mindfulness is about learning to navigate these waters, changing slightly our view. It's kind of a tuning, like, what's going on here? Am I seeing this correct? Did she really say that? Oh, that really hurts when she said that. And so kind of a lot of inquiry and investigation is required in mindfulness. Mindfulness, as the Buddha taught, as I said, is this attunement to understanding with a heartfulness, a kindness. Often it's described, as I'm just going into the introduction here, of what's happening and how we're relating to it. Because life is going to happen. You might be late. Right? Your child might not text at the most appropriate time for you, and you get worried. And then you respond through worry with anger when they walk into the door. You get a flat tire while you're late. And so how do we respond? And the biggest word is respond, because it's our reactivity that gets us kind of unbalanced, gets us into maybe more the limbic brain, the thinking, and therefore even overthinking. And mindfulness is this real inquiry, this real investigation. Okay, hold on, what's happening? What's happening here? Sounds so easy, at least for me, when I'm in a seat, presently right now. But sometimes in my daily life, with my partner, with my friends, with my family, it's not always so easy for me to take that moment to pause, to reflect, and to be really honest, like, oh, I'm triggered right now. I hope most of you understand the word triggered. A way that we get a little bit entangled in some of our thinking patterns, emotional patterns. And often I find I can be hard on myself when I don't respond and I react. I'm now mad at my reaction. I could be doing this better. And that's the next moment of mindfulness. That's the next moment of heartfulness. Oh, I'm mad at myself. You know, look at your present life situation. There's all these beautiful arenas for us to bloom where we are. Maybe it's difficulty at work. As I mentioned, family, friends, maybe health issues. Maybe post-Christmas, just getting caught up on sleep, back into routine. And we might be feeling a little bit jagged. A lot of us endured quite a bit of cold weather here, at least in the Northern Hemisphere, if you're listening in Canada. How are you responding to this? And it's nice when I ask these questions for you just to notice. How are you even viewing this, this video, this kind of rambling way that I teach, Is this making sense? What does it mean to pause, to reflect? And in a world where it's asked of us to move exponentially, like we are moving so fast now. The amount of information we even get, just even driving with the billboards, and if you're listening to something on your Bluetooth, and you're also talking to somebody on Bluetooth, I think you talk on Bluetooth, right? It's just like it's overwhelming what the nervous system and what the brain is collecting. And so this training in mindfulness, this learning to pause and to settle back, what's really happening here, it's almost an unplugging for a moment in this incessant movement of life. But it's really in the pause or in the settling back that's where we're able to nurture more healthy responses. We're going to trip up though. I just tripped up this morning with my husband, just kind of got overreactive, said something, heart clenched. Not very mindful, Kat. Not very, not very, it was not very supportive in the conversation, we'll say. Okay, moment of first kindness, and then you start again. Often for myself in this practice, I think I was always looking for the easy fix. You know, the one teaching that was going to fix me. The one teaching that was going to be the magic Band-Aid. And over the years, I think it was a Zen teacher that has said this, that this practice is a real gradual cultivation and a sudden awakening. So it's been very gradual for me to shift my view. First, my inner view of being okay with myself. We all have an inner critic, an inner judge. We have a comparing mind. We have the if-only mind. And you know the if-only mind? If only this wasn't happening. If only when this was done. And so, for me, this gradual process has been learning just to accept that this is natural. This is part of being human. These different mind states. And they're nothing to get rid of. It's not an obstacle to my practice. It is the practice. And it's to bring often what we call in mindfulness, to recognize and to allow. Mindfulness is seeing. So when we see we're hooked, when we see we're triggered, when we notice we're entangled, when we're overthinking, that's a good sign because we're noticing. But in my experience for many, many years, I didn't like what I was seeing. So I already had a wrong view to how I was meeting the present moment. I hope that makes sense. So then it was now a practice of heartfulness. Oh, the comparing mind is up. Look at how great Bree is. Bree's got all these likes in this website, and she's like amazing. Oh my, oh my God. Maybe I need to be on social media. Noticing the comparing mind and how the comparing mind, what it says, what it does. Comparing mind's not necessarily bad or evil. It's just not always very helpful. So changing our view. This gradual process of changing our view. Because I think a lot of us know that many of our views or our patterns are well ingrained. They're well trodden. They're the path that you walk in, a national park somewhere. They're the shortcut that we take through a field. It's a well-trodden path. It's the most familiar way we go into it. And so mindfulness, this changing of the neurons, the changing of our thinking process, is a gradual process. Because to right ourselves, I don't mean right as in my right hand. I mean to right ourselves takes time, takes persistence, takes patience. Oh, there's that view again. I'm not enough. Oh, there's that view again. What I said was wrong. Do they like me? In Buddhism, we have a tendency to talk a lot about the suffering aspect of what the mind says. So if I'm getting a little bit heavy, I don't mean to be. It's just this is what I have a tendency to notice is more the negativity bias in the mind and the heart. And that's really what keeps us entangled in suffering, isn't it? It's really why we're here is awakening and journeying into growth, is because some of these more well-trodden negativity bias of the mind is what hinders us from our true light. It's another word for mindfulness, shining the light. So it shines the light on some of these well-trodden paths, neural pathways that have wired together, and they become a habit. But the miracle of mindfulness is that slowly we can rewire. Slowly we can change our view. Rewinding a little bit to what I said about in our society, how we're bombarded, that might be a little bit of a critical or judgmental term, with so much information daily. That it's coming at us so fast that to learn to slow down, to learn to pause in of itself is a new view. We're used to being able to do things fast, efficiently. Productivity, right? We've got to be productive in the world. And so how then in this practice of the gradual practice, Bree just used this word earlier at breakfast, it feels counterintuitive to slow down. But yet within this practice, that is the practice. The practice is a cultivation of slowing down and of letting go. Because it's only within a little bit of space, it's only within that slowing down and the pause that we see clearly. We see what's happening here. Oh, I am entangled in this view. Because often when my views arise, I think I might be saying the same for all of us. I really believe my views, my opinions, my ideas, my rants, right? But mindfulness kind of shines just enough of a light on me to say, oh, is that true, Kat? Did they really say it that way? Just kind of lets me, I think of Neo sometimes in the Matrix, just enough for me to look differently at what's going on in my inner process. It's a real gift. It's a real gift because that's where the freedom lies. If most of us, and I'm going to be so bold to say this, that we have a tendency to notice a lot of the time my negativity bias. And that's a lot of time what's hindering me to be present in the world, to show up with love and acceptance, the benevolent state of the heart and the mind, compassion, ease, acceptance. So if I'm noticing a little bit more my negativity bias, that in itself is a beautiful thing because that's already awareness or mindfulness or consciousness shining its light. And then the next moment is now what do we do? What do we do to bloom where we are? That's what the Tibetans say, bloom where you are. This is the present moment experience. Again, just look at your present life situation. Is it health? Is it wealth? Is it personal relationships? Do you have a tendency to worry? Are you hard on yourself? Do you have doubt? What are areas that you fall into that pathway of the mind? And it becomes, as some of you might relate to this, it almost becomes a friction, right? Because there's an energy there now. There's an energy of where we spend a little bit of time thinking. And of course, then the more we think this way, the more easier it is to think this way. The more it becomes the habit of the mind, the more we believe it, and the more we continue to think about it. So it's this constant looping effect. Trying to think our way out of thinking. Well, that's not mindfulness. And so again, I'm going to say it again, mindfulness, this pause, this settling back. Often what we're asked in this practice of mindfulness is not only what I said about investigation or inquiry, but is to name what's happening. It's so important if we can name it. Anger, disappointment. Sometimes I'm feeling something and I don't even know what I'm feeling. I can be with a friend and we're having a lovely conversation and maybe my friend says something and I get this feeling in my gut and I kind of I avoid, or I feel like I'm shrinking. I don't really know what I'm feeling, but I just say, okay, something. Just to recognize, okay, something's going on here. Just to remind myself, okay, to be mindful. It's almost for me a little bit, something's happening, what's going on? Naming is just so important for us because it loses its, for lack of a better word, its control on us. I hope that makes sense. At least in my life, when there's many things I want to say right now, sorry. There's a difference between me having cognition or recognition that I'm pissed, I'm angry, versus when mindfulness is there, it's like, oh, Kat, this is anger. Oh, wow, wow, you got a lot of energy right now. Bree just said something to you and you're like, ooh, okay, anger. That's mindfulness, because mindfulness has that quality of heartfulness, acceptance, it really knows, it really sees it, but without the judgment. Ooh, that's a high bar, at least in my world. I don't know about anybody else's world. And so I hope I've teased that apart, that, often I can say, oh, I know that. But that's the mind's natural ability to recognize, to have cognition, mindfulness, recognizing, allowing, opening, and then naming. Naming anger. I've heard that in the shamanic tradition, I just got a heart, that's so cute. I've heard in the shamanic tradition, if that's the way I say it, that, it's a big part of the practice is to name. Sorry, this is so new to me, this whole little world of social media, so all these little hearts coming around and happy faces. To name what's happening, it loses its force. Yeah. So then in our daily life, because that's where we spend most of the time. As Bree introduced me, yes, I've spent a lot of time on retreats. I love silence. I love being in monastery and retreats. And some people always say, oh, how can you do a 3-month silent retreat? I'm like, oh, how can you live daily life? That's why I find that more difficult. I find being on a retreat easy. Ding, okay, show up, ding, okay. I have being in daily life, that's difficult for me. And so how do we bring mindfulness into daily life? How do we bring this quality of seeing clearly, of consciousness, of heartfulness, into a world that's asking a lot of us, right? Right now, the external world, it feels unstable, maybe fearful. And let alone, as I said, what's going on in your own inner environment, how you talk to yourself, how you're meeting the external world, family, friends, community, work, health, wealth. Bree was just saying, wow, every day you gotta make dinner. It's true, every day. And then every second day I got grocery shopping, and then I gotta do laundry. Like, how do we show up with this? How do we show up with a heartfulness? I don't have a magic wand for this, sorry everybody. But in my experience, how mindfulness helps me stand in an ATM line. I'm not the most patient person. It's definitely my journey. Just to name, okay, Kat, you're impatient. And sometimes what impatient shows me is that I think my time is more valuable than the person in front of me. Okay. So, I hope their journey in the ATM world goes well. I hope they have enough money to pay their bill. I hope that they can support themselves with whatever's going on. And just really noticing, and also the suffering that being impatient causes me. Right? Because then I'm rushed and I'm tight and the heart constricted. And then I'm kind of looking over the person's shoulder, like, are they done yet? And then I huff and I puff and I'm like, oh my goodness. Name it, this is impatience. And I keep putting my hand on my heart, because more and more as I practice mindfulness, it's become a practice of the heart, an untangling of the heart. Sometimes we think that the mind is here. That's the brain, which has a lot of great capabilities. Many neuroscience, or the Buddhist itself, or some of my teachers, right? We know we have a mind, but we can't find it. It's an interesting thing. Is my mind where my knee pain is? Is my mind in my sweaty palms as I'm nervous? Is my mind my voice? Does my mind need my ideas? And so mindfulness is this knowing, okay, something's going on here. When it's difficult, which is I have a tendency to notice more, that's where I bring the heartfulness to it, the kindness, the self-compassion. And that's, for me, one of the biggest gifts to navigate daily life. Naming what's happening. I'm often reminded when I'm on retreats or spend time with my teachers that this practice is way more simpler than we give it credit for. Because mindfulness also means embodiment, being in the body. Feeling that rip and terror, and for me it's almost sparky. I'm just going to use impatience, right? It's sparky, so just feel that at the ATM line. I probably look like I'm just standing there, but really I'm like vibrating. I'm like, I'm so impatient. I'm like, okay, impatient. Feel it. Know it. Be okay with it. It's invaluable. It's invaluable in your driving. It's invaluable when you're speaking at a meeting. It's invaluable to notice mindfulness or be more mindful, because we'll show up with more care in our world. And that's what our world needs, more care. My world needs more care. More care inwardly and outwardly. Sometimes I look at mindfulness as a broad view, because there are so many layers to what happens in every moment. I can just be having a conversation with a friend, and as I said, I feel something, just a benign conversation, maybe about food, and before I know it, I'm constricted and I'm tight and I don't even know why, so I have to name it, because my next moment that comes out of my mouth might be something unskillful. So it's all this layering of what goes on, that we pick up on each other. And we're navigating this world of social media and instant gratification, news popped up. It's like there's so much coming at us. A broader view of what's happening. I heard this. One of my favorite teachers, if you like listening to podcasts, her name is Tara Brock. She's a psychotherapist as well as a meditation teacher. And she's been quite invaluable for me, because a lot of her practice is about unworthiness and healing what she calls the trance of unworthiness. It's that there's something wrong with me to fix. In one of her podcasts, she shared this, and I say it quite a bit to myself. It's memorized now. My prayers to God every day are this: remove the veils so I might see what is really happening here, and not be so intoxicated by my stories and my fears. And I love that. Because that's what it is, right? Sometimes we get this veil, we get this disturbance, sometimes called a distortion, that goes in the mind. Wrong view. Bree said something to me, I don't like it. Wrong view. And then I get intoxicated with it, right? I'm under the influence. I'm under the influence of anger or shame or doubt. Critic. I have an inner critic that's a little incessant, so that's another one I'll talk about. I'm under the intoxication and the influence of the inner critic. So what's really happening here? That's what mindfulness asks us. It's a question. What's happening here? What's going on? Can I name, the inner critic? And that's where that's a moment of freedom, the moment of letting go. It's in the seeing of what's happening that there is the freedom, that there is wisdom. And the big word, I suppose, or a state of the mind in the Buddhist philosophy is wisdom. Because wisdom understands. Wisdom allows us now to see, this is just a moment of intoxication of anger. Wisdom allows us to make that choice to not go down that well-trodden path, that view. Wisdom will turn us, will right us. Okay, just this way, Kat. Just a little bit more kindness. It attunes us to the present moment. Right now, as meditation and mindfulness is kind of exploding, or it's more receptive in the world, we talk a lot about the present moment. The present moment is what's happening right now. It's almost so simple we skip over it. So the present moment, coupled with mindfulness, is meeting that moment with clear seeing. Whether it is anger, whether it is tiredness, whether it is rushing. That's the present moment experience. Can you meet it? Can you name it? Sometimes the present moment isn't, in my world anyways, it's not always delightful. It's not always the spiritual goodies that my teachers talk about. Concentration, tranquility, calm, equanimity, joy. Sometimes my present moment on retreat or in my life is the opposite. It's navigating all of this kerfuffle of my mind-body process. But if I have mindfulness with me, if I have mindfulness as my friend, it's not so difficult. It's not so scary. It's nothing to fix. It's nothing to get rid of. It just is. I don't want to talk too long. I'm already at 30 minutes, and I have a tendency to ramble when I talk, so sorry. I hope this is okay, everybody. Doubt. That's doubt. That's the voice of doubt. Did you hear that? I just want to read another one. I love poetry. One of what I'm alluding to, but not saying it. And you might hear it in this poem by Hermann Hesse. Some of you might know Hermann Hesse, who wrote the book Siddhartha. You know quite well, deep within you, that there is only a single magic, a single power, a single salvation, and that is called loving. Well then, love your suffering. Do not resist it. Do not flee from it. It is your aversion towards it that hurts, nothing else. In my experience, it's my aversion towards the present moment that is hurt. I have aversion towards impatience. I can even have aversion towards my anger, right? Notice what I'm doing with my hands. What happens? I get blocked. I get stuck. Mindfulness, naming anger, impatience, doubt, fear. It's not going to miraculously vanish it. I'm sorry, that's kind of bad news. But at least with mindfulness, we have a tool. We have a tool of heartfulness. We have a tool of clear seeing, of being with what's happening. See for yourself. See for yourself in your daily life. Do you resist moments? Do you want to tweak the present moment? Just a little bit more chocolate. That's me. Just a little bit more concentration in my practice. Just one more headstand in yoga. Just a little bit more sleep. Hit the snooze button. Just watch all these different ways that we gotta get tricked by that. We call it in the Dharma, in the Buddhist teachings, the small mind. Tricked in the small mind, just a little bit more, just tweaking it. What if you just are in the present moment? What if you just name resistance towards my alarm clock? That's a long time, that's a long name, but yeah. Changing our view. What I've noticed in my years of practice, my limited years of practice, really, I'm a baby on this. It's a big part of my practice now, is I'm even changing my view to the practice itself. Because mindfulness is simple. Mindfulness is being aware. My one dear teacher, Steve Armstrong, remembering to recognize the present moment. That's mindfulness. This is how it is right now. That's heartfulness. Coupled together, you have the best tool for daily life. In your body, aware. It feels like enough. I could say more. I always feel it's so strange. The Buddha taught 2,600 years ago, and he taught for years, 38 years, and I've got like 30 minutes. Okay. I'm sure some of you, this is what you've heard before. Maybe heard a little differently. Your life right now is your best teacher. Bloom where you are. It's not going to be any other way. The present moment is what it is. How do you show up? And may we all show up with more care and compassion. Just take a moment with me just to close your eyes and just let the words settle. That's a lot of concept and ideas. And if you're driving, don't close your eyes. Okay? Some of you might be listening in other arenas, but if you can, just take a moment. Just take a breath with me. Just remind yourself you're in your body. You just feel your next inhale and next exhale. That in itself is awareness. There's knowing the breath in and out. Letting these ideas and words settle, and we come back to just right here in the body. That's present moment awareness. Plain and simple. Thank you for all of you who have joined and gave me your kind attention this afternoon. And of course, a loving bow to Bree for inviting me for my first entering into the social media world. Yeah, thank you. I hope to see you all again in this beautiful virtual community.
Okay, and then we'll stay on for a little bit longer if anybody has questions. I'm just going to read some of there's been a couple comments here on Facebook. Hi, Instagram. Feel free to ask questions. Thank you, and thank you, Kat. Oh my God. So, and also too, if you want more of her, she's awesome, and we'll do more of this. Are you cool with that?
Yeah.
Are you
I'm a little nervous.
But it's so easy once you're out here. So if you guys like that idea, we'll maybe do monthly mindfulness check-ins with Kat. So feel free to do a thumbs up. But, yay! Ooh, there's a ooh face. And a sad face. Oh, I love this. Okay, wonderful. Okay, so some of the stuff. Oh, Steph Williams, watching in a quiet house while cozy by the fire in Cork, Ireland. Oh, amen, sister. Wow. I hope that is like what a perfect time and place to watch this. Naming and describing, and then you look beautiful. Hi. Oh, my mom's here. Hi, Mom. Okay, so if anybody has questions on mindfulness or questions about how to, I think Kat did a really great job talking about, like, the naming is huge, really huge, really huge. And so I think that's something really great that we can bring away from this, take away from this. I know I'm going to continue to add that to my practice. So feel free, anybody, if you have questions, we'll be on here for another moment or two of this fun live chat. So, yeah, I don't have any questions other than you're awesome.
Oh, yeah.
And wonderful.
Bree's like my cheerleader.
She is. Well, and because Kat really has full of wisdom, and she's a huge teacher for a lot of people, and I'm happy to bring her into the multiverse of online world. So, okay, so thank you for playing your edge, Kat, embracing social media this way. Big props to you, right? I know this is talk about aversion. She's a smart woman, doesn't want to be on social medias. Okay, but I think that's it. I don't know if we've got any other questions or anything. So this has been a real gift. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. This is always available here. It's going to stay. I think on Instagram, this stays for like 24 hours as a live thing. So yay. So if you want to go back, go to Heart and Bones Yoga, of course, on Facebook. And everybody on Facebook, we love you. This will always be on this page. Have a wonderful, beautiful day. Is there anything else that you'd like to say?
Yeah, like if you are wanting another mindfulness monthly or whatever we'll call it, just also you can shoot some ideas and things that you're working with in your practice, or any other questions, please feel free, so that we're kind of working this together. I learned so much. We all learn so much from each other. So please, if there's something that comes up, share it with us and I'll ramble about it. Yeah, and recognize and allow and name. Really, it's so simple. So yeah, I hope that helps you.
Yeah, I think so. Absolutely. So for those of you just joining, we are wrapping this up, but the live thing.
You missed all the secret teachings, not
Yeah.
Okay.
And now it's done. You weren't. I'm actually going to erase it now, so sorry. So Steph, any ideas for mindfulness with children would be appreciated. Ooh.
Yeah.
Welcome.
I know that. I know. It's a big one, and to keep it light and easy. I think with children, it depends too. We were just talking about a little bit at breakfast time. This could be, it could be maybe what you're asking could be about concentration with children. So if you're a school teacher, it could be sometimes right now in our world with bullying and social media, children in their own way are feeling a lot of pressure, right? How do we bring a care to that child's feelings? How do we actively listen? Okay? So that's I'm talking about the heart. If you're also maybe speaking about children for giving them tools for mindfulness, get them to, right, to calm them down, right? Whatever it is, feel their hands, rub their hands, make it playful, feel the heat in your hands, right? So anything that they can embody, coming back into their body. Sorry,
that's good.
Yeah, might not have said that well. I know some people use beautiful music if children have difficult time sleeping. Some music to calm down the neural pathways. Depending on how old, when you're saying children, get them off of social media before bedtime so they have a good rest. Yeah. So when I'm trying to give you many different tools because I'm not sure exactly what you're saying, if you're wanting a formal practice or just to ground them. Mm-hmm. If there's stuff going on in their life, really active listening. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, no, I think that's good. And I would add just what you're sharing with us, which is the naming, So if in that moment you can get the kid to, I try, it's hard. I have a 7-year-old. So it's, I see that you're really angry right now. But granted, he's also so angry that he's like, yeah. So I don't know,
Yeah.
So hopefully, so I find as a parent that even if it doesn't seem to be effective, like trying to teach them these tools in that moment, that I trust that it's imprinting, so that when they mature a little bit, that in the moment, my perfect solution as a parent is like, oh, I see you're angry now. And if he doesn't respond to that, I hope that I'm still imprinting and putting that.
Mm-hmm. And also to be mindful, I want us to be careful that it's okay for a child to be angry, or it's okay if a child feels deflated because their art project wasn't picked or something, right? Let them own the feeling. As Bree said, let them name it. But sometimes I find, I don't know with my husband, I don't have children, but I want to fix it. I want to change it. So when Bree's child is angry, be like, oh, I see that you're really angry. Yeah, I'm really angry. Be like, okay, so what is anger going to tell me? How do we communicate that in a way it's okay to be angry, but we also don't want to act out on it? Because I don't look very pretty when I act out of anger. I don't know what anybody else should say. Yeah, so I hope that makes sense too.
Yeah.
To let them allow that they're angry.
Yeah. That's good. I know, I do have an aversion to naming you silly, because you guys, when I see your name spelled out, I doubt it when you're written beautiful, Aqueous Ajala, but from Nourish. Yeah.
From Nourish here in Edmonton?
Yeah. But Adhala, why am I totally? I know, but you know who I'm talking about. But you'll know. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, you saw that, honey. So Misty Meadow over here on Instagram. Can this go on YouTube? I think so. I'll try.
Whoa, I'm assuming Kat's gonna pass out soon. YouTube. So
yeah. So we'll ease her into it. That's a good question. I think I might be able to save this from my Facebook page and then post it on Instagram, or on YouTube. Because I'm assuming you're saying that because you're not on Facebook. But that being said, if you're not on Facebook, you can still access business pages without having a Facebook account. So if I somehow don't get this up on YouTube, it will still be on the Heart and Bones page, so that you'll see it even if you don't have a Facebook account. Okay, but I'll try to get it up on YouTube too. You're welcome. Okay, so I think everybody else, this is so much fun as always, and we love having you being here, even though we're just looking at ourselves. But we know
so strange.
We know that you are there. So wonderful. Have a wonderful, mindful rest of your day and life.
That's right. Takes courage.
It does. And we're in this together, you know, like we really are. Like we're all so human. We're all so human and imperfect. And the more that we can learn from each other and be open to this process of life and coming back to the heart and coming back to just compassion for ourselves and each other is what I would like to finish with.
Yeah. Mark Nepo calls this the exquisite risk. Taking this exquisite risk, right? I love that. You know, because it's exquisite, it's divine to open the heart, heartfulness, awareness, and it's a risk. It's a risk if sometimes I name my feelings, or it's a risk if I say, hey, you know, Brie, when you had the last piece of chocolate, like I kind of felt hurt. No. Okay, because I'm greedy. No, I'm kidding.
It's not chocolate.
Yeah, I love that though. I do this a lot. I'm sorry, I teach like this a lot because it's an exquisite risk. Attunement, refining, tasting what's happening.
Okay.
Yeah, I gotta stop.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, thank you, Instagram. P.S. I think some new people joined on Instagram, so this is obviously the end. This will be up here for 24 hours maybe, and then it'll be on Facebook forever and maybe YouTube. So you're all wonderful.
Thank you.
And message questions that you have for future or topics that you'd like to talk about for future talks like this. Okay, wonderful. Yay.
Bye.